Hi, grade 6. This is your math video for lesson 4-3. I believe you have a worksheet today. Yeah, and today's lesson is very similar to the last lesson, but instead of adding or subtracting, you're going to be dealing with multiplying or dividing problems. Actually, just multiplying, excuse me. So let's start right away with this. I'm going to try to use some of the same terminology I used in the other lesson, with the exception of we're not going to deal with adding and subtracting. So first problem, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down two equal signs, just like I did before, right? Then, what is that variable attached to? It's attached to a 6 by multiplication. So I rewrite the problem, and I leave some space here, and I leave some space here. What is the opposite of multiplying by 6? Well, dividing by 6. And I do it to which side? To both sides of the equation. Right? Now, over here, that's easy. That's the number 3 here. Remember last time we talked about adding and subtracting, canceling each other out? Same thing happens here with multiplying and dividing. The multiplying by 6 and the dividing by 6 cancel each other out, and I'm left with C. Done with my first problem. Let's try this one right here. This one's a little trickier because you got negative signs in it. First thing I do, write my two equal signs. Then, I'm going to rewrite the problem. I'm going to leave some space. I'm going to leave it here and here. Then I'm going to ask myself, what's the opposite of multiplying by negative 8? The opposite of multiplying by negative 8 is dividing by negative 8. And I do it to both sides of the equation, right? What's a negative divided by a negative? Isn't it a positive? And don't the multiplying by negative 8 and the dividing by 8, negative 8 cancel each other out? Done with my second problem. Let's go to this one right here. I'm going to draw my two equal signs in. I'm going to draw my problem, but I'm going to leave space. And then I'm going to ask myself, what is the variable attached to? It's attached to a 10 by multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplying by 10? How about dividing by 10? And we're going to do it to which side? To both sides of the equation. And when we do that, what do we get on this side? Don't we get a 2? 20 divided by 10 is 2. And over here, what do we get? Doesn't multiplying by 10 and dividing by 10 cancel each other out, leaving us with y? Let's go to this one next. First thing I'm going to do, create my two equal signs. Second thing, I'm going to write the problem out, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space here and here. Then I'm going to ask myself, x times negative 11. What's the opposite of multiplying by negative 11? How about dividing by negative 11? Yep. A negative divided by a negative. Negative divided by a negative. That's a positive 7. And multiplying by negative 11 and dividing by negative 11, they cancel each other out. I'm left with a 7. Now, I know some of these you can probably just do in your head so quickly it's not even funny, like this one right here. But I'm gonna do the work anyway. Two equal signs, writing out the problem, but I'm going to leave space here, and I'm going to leave space here. The x is attached to the 5 by multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplying by 5? How about dividing by 5? And we do it to both sides. And here we have 3, and here we have x, because multiplying by 5 and dividing by 5 cancel each other out. Let's go up here. Going to draw my two equal signs. Going to draw in my problem, but I'm going to leave space. And then I'm going to ask myself, what is the variable attached to? It's attached to this negative 6 by multiplication, and the opposite of that is dividing by that same negative 6. Over here, I get negative 4, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And over here, I'm left with S. How about this one? Two equal signs. Rewrite the problem, but we're going to leave a little bit of space. What's the opposite of multiplying by a negative 9? How about dividing by a negative 9. And we're going to do it to which side of the equation? Both sides of the equation. And on this side, we get a negative 4. And on this side, we get an R. Here's one you could just solve if you knew your math facts real well, right? What number times 12 gets you to 72? But we're still going to show the work. Okay. I'm going to rewrite the problem, leave some space here and here. What's the opposite of multiplying by 12? How about dividing by 12? And we're going to do it to which side of the equation? Both sides of the equation. And what do we get on this side? We get a 6, and over here we get a t, because multiplying by 12 and dividing by 12 cancel each other out. Ooh, that's 8 problems already. How many more do we have to do? I think that's enough for now. Let's get to some example problems.